Imagine this. You're just a child, lost in a vast and dangerous world. The warmth and security of your mother, the only source of comfort you've ever known, is suddenly gone. You cry out, but she doesn't answer. You search, but she's nowhere to be found. The world that once felt safe is now terrifying, overwhelming, and cruelly silent. That was the reality for a baby elephant named Tempo. Alone in the wild, without the guidance of his mother, his chances of survival were slim. But what happened next is nothing short of extraordinary. In the heart of the African wilderness, where the golden savanna stretches endlessly and the echoes of wildlife fill the air, a tragedy unfolded. Tempo's mother was gone. Whether taken by poachers, illness, or a tragic accident, no one knew for certain. What we do know is that a baby elephant without its mother is one of the most heartbreaking sights in nature. These gentle giants, much like humans, thrive on love, care, and connection. Their families are everything to them. Losing a mother isn't just an emotional blow, it's a death sentence. And Tempo, he was on the brink. At first, Tempo didn't understand. He wandered searching for her, his little trunk reaching out in desperation. But as the hours turned into days, reality set in. She wasn't coming back. His cries grew weaker, his movements slower. He refused to eat. He refused to drink. If left alone, it was only a matter of time before grief took its final toll. That's when a group of dedicated wildlife rescuers stepped in. They had seen cases like this before, young elephants wasting away, unable to cope with loss. They knew they had to act fast. Carefully, they approached Tempo, trying to comfort him, to feed him, to save him. But the baby elephant, overwhelmed by sorrow and fear, wanted nothing to do with them. He withdrew from everyone and everything. He didn't just resist, he fought back, pushing, shoving, even showing signs of aggression. To him, these humans were just another reminder of what he had lost. Knowing that staying in the wild meant certain death, the rescuers made a difficult decision. They had to take Tempo away from the only home he had ever known. Carefully, they transported him to Shamari Reserve, a sanctuary dedicated to giving animals a second chance. Here, a team of experienced caretakers, people who had devoted their lives to saving orphaned animals, awaited him. But as they soon realized, saving Tempo was going to be one of their hardest challenges yet. Day after day, they tried to connect with him. They spoke to him softly, they offered him food, they stayed close, never forcing, just waiting. But Tempo had built a wall around himself. He refused to interact, refused to trust. His eyes, once full of curiosity, were now distant, hollow. And the most alarming thing, he still wouldn't eat. Without nourishment, his body began to weaken. His energy drained, his eyes became sunken. Time was running out. Then something incredible happened. The caretakers decided to try something unconventional, something that had never been attempted before. They introduced a sheep into Tempo's enclosure. Yes, a sheep. His name was Albert, a small but spirited merino sheep with a thick woolly coat and an unshakable curiosity. To say it was a risky move would be an understatement. Tempo, unpredictable and grieving, could easily lash out. And at first, that's exactly what happened. The moment Albert stepped into his space, Tempo reacted with anger. He charged at the tiny creature, roaring, his trunk raised high in frustration. But Albert, surprisingly, didn't flee. For days, the pattern continued. Tempo chased, Albert dodged. Tempo roared, Albert stood his ground. It was almost like a game, when neither of them realized they were playing. But slowly, something remarkable began to happen. Tempo's aggression softened. His frustration turned to curiosity. Instead of chasing, he started watching. Instead of roaring, he started listening. And Albert? He too began to warm up to his massive new companion. They started sharing space. They started moving together. And one day, against all odds, Tempo lay down beside Albert and rested. For the first time since losing his mother, he found comfort in another being. Then came the real breakthrough. One morning, as caretakers placed a bottle of milk in front of Tempo, something was different. Instead of turning away in rejection, he hesitated. He glanced at Albert, who stood beside him as if waiting for encouragement. And then it happened. Tempo took his first sip. It was a moment of triumph, a moment that brought tears to the eyes of everyone who had fought so hard to save him. The baby elephant who had nearly given up had chosen to fight, not because of humans, not because of force, but because of a friend. From that day forward, everything changed. Tempo regained his strength. He started playing again, running, splashing in the water, his joy slowly returning. And Albert? He was always by his side, They became inseparable. A friendship so unexpected, yet so powerful, it defied all odds. Tempo's story is more than just a tale of survival. It's a reminder of the incredible resilience of the heart, that even in our darkest moments, even when hope feels lost, connection can save us. And sometimes that connection comes from the most unexpected places. If Tempo and Albert's story moved you, don't let it end here. Share it. Talk about it. Be that source of kindness and connection in someone else's life. Because in a world that can often feel harsh and unforgiving, a little bit of love, just like Albert showed Tempo, can change everything. And if you believe in the power of second chances and the beauty of unlikely friendships and the magic of resilience, let this be a reminder. No matter how lost, no matter how broken, there's always hope. You just have to find your Albert.